To create a humorous flight takeoff failure scenario, you could go for an exaggerated, over-the-top approach that adds some comedic, unexpected twists. Here's a potential outline for a skit that could work well for a funny video. Scene: the pre-flight checklist. 1. Pilot confusion. Start with the pilot doing a checklist, and the items get increasingly ridiculous. For instance, flaps? Check. Wings? Still attached? Co-pilot? He's still in the bathroom. Double checks fuel tank, realizes it's full of orange juice instead of jet fuel. 2. Passengers' reactions. Zoom in on a few passengers who overhear the checklist and look visibly horrified or incredibly confused. Scene: the runway antics. 1. Taxi to runway with technical difficulties. The plane tries to taxi to the runway, but keeps veering slightly off course, like someone learning to drive. The pilot announces, "Sorry, folks, it appears we're experiencing slight directional challenges. Hang tight." 2. Odd objects appearing. The plane stops, and random things, like a dog with goggles or a man delivering pizza, show up on the runway. 3. Hilarious takeoff failures. The plane accelerates to take off, but it suddenly bounces as if on a trampoline, barely leaving the ground, and then lands back down, leaving passengers and crew in mild shock. Or, just as it's about to lift off, the captain announces, "Attention passengers, I forgot my lucky hat. Gonna have to taxi back." Final scene: a grounded success. 1. Finally airborne briefly. The plane takes off just an inch off the ground and slowly lands back down with a final, "Thank you for flying. We've reached our destination," as it barely moves. 2. Ending with funny passenger reactions. Passengers come off the plane with hilarious expressions and exaggerated reactions like high-fiving the ground or kissing the runway. Scene 1. The pre-flight checklist in the cockpit. The pilot and co-pilot, who both seem just a bit too nonchalant, sit in the cockpit running through their checklist. As they go through standard items, things quickly take a turn. Pilot: seatbelt signs? Check. Altimeter? Check. Wing bolts? Looks at the co-pilot with wide eyes. Pauses. Wing bolts? Taps on the manual, squinting. "I think those are optional." They shrug and move on. After a few more checks, the pilot reaches for his coffee, realizes it's empty, and sighs, announcing over the intercom, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're almost ready for takeoff. If anyone has coffee, please send it up front."